Welcome everybody to the Motivate Podcast Show. I am your host, Rich Wall Street Williams. And at the Motivate Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely want to believe for more. Man, I am excited. Been having this conversation on progress and performance. And friend, here is what led me to this thought, this phrase, this saying that I have, and that is this: performance, our performance is a prophecy of the way that we practice. Our performance, when the lights are on, when the cameras are on, when the microphone is in front of your mouth, that performance is a result of the way that we practice. Oftentimes, we spend too much time on the performance side and not on the practice side. And so this conversation, friend, is really about, let's have a conversation on the way that you and I practice. What goes into practicing? What's the purpose of practice? What are the results of practicing, right? Because it's not practice. Someone once said that, well, practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect, because you could be practicing something the wrong way, right? And so performance is a prophecy of the way that we practice. Performance is a prophecy of the way that we practice simply means that if I don't like the result, I got to look at the practice. If I don't like the numbers of the performance side, I got to look at the practice side. Let me just hit you with this as a sales professional. As a sales professional, how many books have you read this year as it relates to your career, your profession? How many books have you read? Okay, let's go outside of sales. In your career, your vocation, how many books have you read this year as it relates to your? Now, I'm not talking about the requirements of your position. Like when I sold real estate every 2 years, we had to do these what they call continuing education classes on ethics and on like laws, fair housing, that type of thing, right? So I'm not talking about the mandatory classes that you have to take to maintain your certification and our license. I'm talking about the willful decision, the intentional decision that you and I make when the lights are off, the cameras are off, no one is watching, the microphone isn't in front of our face. That's the practice I want to talk about. See, what discipline do you employ in your personal life, in your personal life? Because what I do in my personal life shows up in my public life. What I do in my personal life shows up in my public life. See, if I want to get bigger on the outside, I have to get better on the inside first. I got to get better on the inside first. And not a lot of people are going to invest the time, the energy, the effort, the money to get better on the inside. When was the last time you read a book? Outside of the mandatory books or education or test quizzes, et cetera, that you got to take to maintain your license and your certification. When was the last time you intentionally took a book and read it as it relates to your career, your vocation in life, your industry? That's what I want to talk about. When I was doing real estate sales training, I had a group of real estate agents in a room, about 30 agents in a room. And at that time, we were training on marketing and branding. And I said, but listen, let me just share with you this as it relates to the personal investment that you take in your business. I want you to go back to your office this week, and I want you to find about 2 or 3 agents, and I want you to ask them, how much time do you spend a week or a day on learning a new script or technique or process? How much time do you spend? Right. And so I said, does everyone understand the assignment? Everyone said yes. So we had at least 30 agents in the room. After the training, they went back to their offices the following week. We get together. I said, how many of you did the homework that I gave you? 100% participation. Every hand went up. I said, okay, how many of you went back to how many people did, when you went back to your office, you asked other agents in your office, how much time do you spend on learning a script or, objection handling or practicing a tip or technology or, whatever. I call it the 3 T's: tip, technology, and tools. How much time did you invest in that? 30 people in the room, 2 or 3 people raised their hand and said, yes, I found an agent in my office that did. 30 people, 3 people found people. That 30 people went out and asked, 3 people came back and said, yes, I found someone. And all of them said they did the assignment. So it's safe to assume that about 80 or 90% of our competition isn't doing that. 80 or 90%. So the focus then for me from 2020, from 2012, I began to shift my thinking from how do I beat the competition to how do I outperform the competition? Because think about this, the competition has the same access to tools, technique, and tools, tips, and technology that we have access to. They have access to these tip tools and technology. They have access to it. They have, okay, let's prove it. Um, does the competition have access to a website? Say yes. Does the competition have access to social media platforms? Say yes. Does the competition does the competition have access to digital marketing? Say yes. Does the competition have access to high quality photos? Say yes. So the competition has access to the same tools, tips, and technology that I have access to. So how in the heck do I beat someone that has access to the same tools, tips, and technology that I have access to? Let me tell you how you do it, friend, is you outperform them. You outperform them. You invest in your development more than the competition invests in their development. How do I invest in my development more than the competition invests in their development? And that's simple, friend. You just read books about your profession, your career, your vocation, your industry. No one is going to know more about my industry myself than me. I'm going to invest the time. I'm going to invest in the resources. I'm going to subscribe to podcast shows. I'm gonna get the notification, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I'm going to do. Now, one of the things I've done here recently is there's a guy on YouTube. His name is Jeremy Miner. Jeremy is a sales. He does sales coaching, et cetera. I love his stuff, so I plugged in. I subscribe to Jeremy's channel. I get the notifications when he's on. I get the updates, right? What am I doing? I'm investing in myself. That's the practice. See, you want the platform, but what? Tell me about your practice. You want to be on the stage, camera, lights, action, but tell me about what it looks like when it isn't camera, lights, and action. What are you doing, friend? How are you practicing? I'm preparing to get back into going into the regular workout routine. Now I work out at home lightly, but it's not compared to going in the gym, getting on the treadmill, doing my 20, 30 minutes cardio, and then going through my routine, right? And so part of the preparation is the mental preparation and getting a plan in place. Because listen, friend, I'm 57 years young right now. I feel absolutely amazing in my body, but I don't stop there because I know there's another level that I could take my physical prowess to. Practice. I've been married 33 and a half years. I know I don't look like I've been married 33 and a half years. I jokingly say I got married when I was 3. I've been married 33 and a half years. Never cheated, never checked out on my wife, right? 33 and a half years. We've been together 35 and a half years just because we dated for 2 years before we made the decision to get married. How in the heck can you have 33 and a half years of marriage? Did you have tough times, Rich? Yes. Did you have challenging times, Rich? Yes. Did you have heated fellowship, Rich? Yes. What's heated fellowship? We don't argue. We have heated fellowship disagreements, right? But I have made a decision, friend, that I'm going to invest in the success of my relationship. I'm going to place a high value on that relationship. And because I place a high value on that relationship, then the behind the scene performance in that relationship counts. But we're talking about practice right now. We're talking about having progress in your life. What progress are you having? Because performance lets me know about the progression. Last month was March Madness with college basketball teams, and they have the quarterfinals, finals, and then finals, right? And how you progress through the finals, semi, quarter to finals, how you progress is based upon the way that you perform. You perform well, you hit the shot when you're supposed to, et cetera, et cetera. Guess what? You progress. At the end of the day, it can only be one winner, right? So you progress. So it's that small movement is better than no movement at all. Write that one down, friend. Small movement in life is better than no movement at all. Listen, if you and I could increase, we could become 1% better every day in 90 days. We have a 90% increase. But understand this, friend, that before you get bigger on the outside, before you blow up on the outside, before there's lights, cameras, and action, you got to get better on the inside first. And that's the focus of my conversation. That's the focus of where we're going with these conversations about performance and progress. I am personally seeking out individuals to have a conversation on this podcast about performance because it's making the difference. Whether that's performance in your marriage, your performance on your job, performance as a father, performance as a mother, performance as a daughter or son. How do you practice? Practice. Don't play it until you get it right. Play it till you can't play it wrong. What's the difference between an amateur and a pro? That's a great question. When an amateur stops when they achieve something, professionals understand that the initial achievement is just the beginning. Amateurs stop when they achieve something. Professionals understand that the initial achievement is just the beginning. Listen, I want to end this podcast today with a short clip of Mr. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, former All-Pro football player, Dallas Cowboys. I believe he was a defensive back or safety. I'm not really sure which one. I think he was a safety. Deion Sanders, and he's talking about practice and performance. Let's check him out.
My top plays happened in Fort Myers, Florida, when none of you knew anything about me. My top plays happened when there was no camera there. See, those are the plays you just caught on camera. Those weren't my top plays because I practiced like I played, so when I played, it would be practice. Yeah, you were supposed to clap right there because that was straight.
Amen to that. Yeah. Come on, get up to practice place.
So there's somebody out there right now, the light ain't on you, but keep making plays. Nobody's talking about you, but keep making plays.
That's right.
I know your sales numbers aren't where your friend is, but keep making plays. I know nobody's talking about you, and you're not on the leaderboard right now, but baby, keep making plays.
How about that? Keep making plays. Practice the way that you play and play the way that you practice. Hey, man, listen, I'm Rich Wall Street Williams here on the Motivate Podcast Show. On the Motivate Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely believe for more. Let's get it.